Hi, everybody. You're listening to No Limits, episode 139, a PlayStation podcast where we also talk about golfing sometimes. Welcome back from the intro. Sam is making a face. I'm scared. Hello again, everybody. Again, listening to PlayStation podcast, No Limits. 139. I'm Breanna. That's Sam. You can find us on youtube.com/SaveTheGameMedia. Subscribe. Follow us on podcast stuff. Patreon.com. We do our current patrons at the beginning of the show here. My podcast that I usually host, I do it at the end. 1 second.
Yeah.
Our current patrons are Alpaca Tom, Fabulous Breanna, Brianna's mom, Nikolai at Night, Brendan Myers, Marcus O'Neill, Lillian, David Hotwright, Dave Harp, the Xbox Expansion Pass, Lee Navarro, Silicanet, Rick Davis, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your follows / subscriptions.
Thanks.
Appreciate you guys. Sam?
Yeah.
Hello. How are you?
Hi. Yeah, I mean, I'm good. I'm say it with me, everybody, very tired. The past few days have been crazy. Just so much self-inflicted, mostly, as it often is, but self-inflicted coverage, IGN, so much posting and uploading and formatting of pages and stuff. Been pulling like 14, 15-hour days. So yeah, I'm running on fumes a little bit right now, but I'm doing good. I'm in high spirits despite that. So you may see my eyes flicker if you're watching the video of this podcast. But maybe spare yourself. Maybe just go to the audio version of this podcast for this week. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm good. Otherwise, you know, it is what it is. I'm very accustomed to this way of life now. You know, you kind of have to be. So, yeah, not much more to report on the personal front, really. So, what about you? How are you doing, Breanna?
Don't government name me. The heck? I'm doing okay. Busy at work. Lots of drama at work. Let's see what else. I was doing so well writing earlier this year, you guys, and then I got super sick and I couldn't write, and then it broke my writing streak, and I've been trying to get it back ever since, and it's devastating. But
These things happen.
They do. It just is a little disheartening to know that I was doing so well and am no longer currently doing so well. But it's okay. It'll come back.
It will. Taylor passed away, by the way. He got bit by 2 snakes.
Yeah. I thought it was 3.
Well, I think that one of them. Nope, I can't say that on a podcast.
Back up.
It was. I think it was just 2. Let's just go with 2.
Okay.
There may or may not have been a third, but we can't officially confirm that.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Have you been playing anything recently?
I most certainly have.
Tell me about it.
I have.
I knew it. It was Bloodborne 5.
Yeah, that's right. I've been playing on and off again, not as much as I'd like. in fits and starts blueprints, finding new interesting stuff every single run. I think I'm on like day 21 or 22, which means nothing if you haven't played the game. It doesn't really mean anything if you have played the game, to be fair, because
I was
you
gonna say.
can find anything at any time. So
Mhm.
I've made it into the antechamber, without going into spoilers, but I haven't gotten beyond that. So I found
Okay.
what's in the antechamber, but I haven't been able to replicate and then locate the other stuff. Yeah, I kind of know what I'm doing, but I'm still feeling it out. So yeah, loving that. That'll be something that I probably just play in fits and starts over the rest of the year, to be honest. Unless I get a good down period, where I'm not covering anything, and then I'll probably no life it. But that isn't looking likely for at least a couple of months, so we'll see. Um, I am also playing, or I guess I technically haven't really played much this week. Um, Played a little bit of Oblivion Remastered. Very excited when that got shadow dropped. Nobody knew it was coming, apparently, just completely out of nowhere. No one even slightly expected that game to release, especially not as a shadow drop. It did, and I bought it immediately. I'm not playing it through Game Pass because um,
Mhm.
I would have loved to have gotten it physically, to be honest, but I don't think if there is going to be a physical edition, I don't think it's out. So I just thought, screw it, I'll just buy it digitally, which hurt my soul, but alas. Probably put 2.5, 3 hours, so really barely got started on it. But like what I played so far. I said on X Talk when I was on that a few days ago that I shot a fireball at a rat in the opening sewers, and the rat died, and then started pinging off the walls and bounced all the way down the hall, and just kept ragdolling around. And I was like, "This is Bethesda. Welcome back, everybody." But not like bad Bethesda, like Starfield, like good, endearing Bethesda. Um, so that will also be a game that I gradually chip away at. I said that I was going to go back to the arena and become the champion once again, and I fully intend to, because that's what I do every time I play Oblivion. Um, and the other thing I've been playing, which I can finally talk about here, I mean, I spoke about it on X Talk, which was sort of the main topic there. But for the past 3.5 weeks, I've been playing Clair Obscur Expedition 33. You can go over to X Talk for like a full proper discussion about it. But generally, my thoughts are, as someone who doesn't like JRPGs or turn-based games really at all, I am completely blown away by how much this game hooked me, how fun it is, how content rich it is, how unique and interesting and fresh feeling a lot of it is. And I don't mean that in the sense of I haven't played many JRPG / turn-based games, so it feels new to me. Like, the general consensus is that even from JRPG and turn-based guys, there is a lot of like really new, innovative stuff here, and I can feel that by osmosis. Yeah, I mean, I said it on X Talk, and I think I will still land there. It feels kind of crazy to say, but I do, in my heart, at least right now, whilst I'm technically still in the thick of it, I do think it's probably going to go down after the fact as one of the best games I've ever played. Um, that doesn't mean it's perfect. That doesn't mean it doesn't have glaring flaws, because I think it does. But as an overall package and as an experience, like, I rolled credits probably about 2 weeks ago now, for the first time, I've done 2 full 100% playthroughs, because I had to for work. But I mean, I would have loved to have played through it again regardless. But at the end of that first playthrough, when the credits started rolling, I sat back and sort of like, I may have even said it out loud of like, what did I just play? You know, sometimes you just kind of know that you've played something really special. And you can know that whilst you're playing it. And even really when you just start playing something, you can kind of get an inkling that it's going to be something quite special. But like I was like mouth agape type, you know, just sat here in awe as the credits were rolling. Like that was one of the best gaming experiences I've had. And that sounds crazy to say, and it sounds hyperbolic, and I don't want to oversell the game, but it is just how I feel. And I think that the reviews and the consensus and discussion online kind of reinforce that, which is good because I kind of felt. I mean, I may have said this on X Talk, but an interesting story is obviously we have like a Slack and a Discord for me and my IGN colleagues when we're working on projects. And probably a few days after getting the codes, we were all maybe, you know, between 5 and 10 hours in. And we were sort of messaging back and forth about things we were finding and just taking notes. And someone brought up, like, am I going crazy or is this game, I think he said spectacular. And it was like so validating because I was having those same feelings. And I kind of felt like I was crazy or that I was missing something, like a major glaring issue. I'm overlooking something because of how much this part, and this part are enrapturing me. So I didn't want to just like glaze the game, but it's good to know that that is what the game deserves. I mean, I've even sort of said to you privately without disclosing things like, I really don't know where the reviews are going to land on this one. Like I could see a world where it was going to get 7s and 8s. And I said, like, I hope that that isn't the case. I know where I would score it, but I just don't know where this one is going to land. And, you know, I was proven wrong. I was proven right in how I felt about the game, but proven wrong in my concern about the reviews. So, yeah, it's a truly, truly special game in my opinion. And I said on X Talk, it's not only a watershed moment for me in not necessarily converting me into loving a genre that I've avoided and kind of hated, which is sort of turn-based games, but it's made me fall in love with a game in that genre, which I thought previously was kind of close to impossible because of how I felt about the genre as a whole. And I think that it's also a watershed moment for the industry at a time where it really needs it, where the obsession with fidelity and production value is at its sort of breaking point. And this game still provides those things, but it has done it on probably half the budget, if that, with a brand new IP that is taking a lot of risks creatively in terms of game mechanics, storytelling, presentation, all of this. It's got great, you know, big top tier voice actors in it, both from inside and outside of the video game industry. And it's done by a team of 30 people. And I just don't know how they've done it. And I think that this should be not only the thing that we as consumers champion to make the AAA people listen and take note that you can strike that happy medium between sustainability and sort of managing budgets and all of this, and also continuing to create new IP, but also making something truly artistic and industry, not industry defining, but moving the industry forward in a really exciting way, which is something that not many games get to say about themselves. And this one definitely does. So that's my ramble over. There's more in-depth thoughts on X Talk. And that's the 3 games I've been playing. So Bree, you talk for a while. I've spoken too much as usual.
You're totally fine.
No.
I do have a question for you.
Mm,
Um, well, actually, two. So, one, if somebody, like you were saying, you're not a fan of like turn-based, not a fan of JRPGs. So, would you say if somebody was like, I'm looking at this game,
mm.
but I don't like these things, would you say like still go for it? Just a
If
generic
if
consumer
if by those things you mean turn-based,
and JRPGs.
so JRPGs you can ignore. Like that isn't relevant here, really. It's an
Yeah.
RPG. It certainly does have like some, I guess, like persona elements in terms of you can increase your relationships with party members, but you can max your relationships with every single party member very, very easily, and it doesn't really affect anything. Um, it unlocks a few like additional combat moves, but again, you can do that very easily. I've got the platinum in it. I can guarantee you, as someone who's 100% at it twice, you can't miss things. Turn based, I think. I mean, like technically, I should be the proof in and of itself that I am a guy who really doesn't like turn based combat. And it has realistically warded me off of experiencing tons of games over the course of my lifetime simply because I don't like turn based combat. I think what's reassuring to me is that a lot of the discourse I've seen from people I trust is who are kind of like turn-based sickos are saying that not only is this the best iteration of turn-based combat they've ever seen in a game, but also that it switches it up to the point where it doesn't feel like turn-based combat. And that second part I subscribe to. Like instrumentally, it is still a turn-based game where you have the menus pop up, they're very stylish, and you press a button to select which of the attacks you want, and then they execute it, and then the enemy takes a turn, and etc. etc. But whether if you've seen any trailers for the game, you see in the combat that there are like QTEs that you have to execute, which you can disable if you are worried about accessibility. You can make it so that you don't have to perfect time it; it will just complete it for you. But to parry, to dodge, to jump out of the way of attacks, to enhance the power of your own attacks, you kind of have to hit these QTEs, and it's all presented very cinematically with like really um like rewarding sound effects and visual effects. And I think that that adds like a sense of dynamism to combat where you're still going from turn to turn, but because you're more actively engaging beyond just pressing the button to select an attack, um, it feels far more real time, even though it very much obviously isn't real time combat. Um, so yeah, like it's obviously subjective and will vary from person to person, but I am that guy who doesn't like turn-based games, and here I am saying it's one of the best experiences I've had, which I definitely didn't think I was going to say. I didn't even want to cover this game, um, and I have, and I've sort of fallen in love with it. Um, so I would say for people to try it. I mean, especially if you have Game Pass, right? You know, the disgusting dirty word. If you do have that, you really should drop. Like, forget about Oblivion, forget about South of Midnight, because Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is better than any of those, and it deserves the player count, it deserves the engagement, and you deserve to experience it as a player. For people who don't have Game Pass, I can understand buying in might be a bit difficult, but it's not a full price game. They're selling it for 50, which in and of itself is like daylight robbery, in my opinion. I didn't even have to buy the game, and I feel bad that they're only charging 50 because this is, again, like I said on X Talk, beating out a lot of $70 games in terms of quality and content and just everything. So yeah, I think I don't know what other game. I mean, there are other games, but I don't feel as passionate about recommending this game to almost anyone. I think the closest comparison to me would be like Astrobot, right? Where like you can kind of just recommend that game to anyone.
Mm.
And I kind of feel the same here, which is crazy to say considering the gap in genres, but it is just that good. And sometimes there are games that are just that good.
Okay.
So yeah.
So then you would say this is better than like Metaphor Refantasio
Yes.
for you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I
Cool.
liked Metaphor, but it was got too long in the tooth and the combat was pretty boring in the grand scheme of things. And I was very ready for Metaphor to be over, and I very much did not want Expedition 33 to be over. So I think it is better.
Okay. Cool. So then we can drop it, but I just wanted to ask a couple questions, see how you're feeling about it.
Hmm.
Um I do for me, the game that I specifically wanted to bring up was Blueprints. That's why I said it kind of depends on you because I didn't know if you'd played more or not. Now I do. So, I have made it past into the room and out past and yeah. So now I'm kind of like trying to solve all of the other little mysteries, which are really kicking my butt. Um, I have like I have pages of writing, as I'm sure you do as well. The one that I'm kind of focusing on right now, but not like locked in, like dead locked into it, is like the getting the boiler room to line up with other rooms,
Mm.
and that's driving me crazy. Because it can be very difficult to get the boiler room to show up, let alone get where I want it to be.
Yeah.
So that one's a rough one. I've got some. I started writing a to do list for stuff that's like, oh well, I need to, do this later. Um, like for example, like oh, like I need to build the power hammer, and then I need to go to this room if possible, stuff like that.
Right.
Um, Still haven't made it into that weird orchard that's by the tent.
Oh, well. Well.
I'm feeling judged right now. I thought this was a safe space, but it clearly wasn't.
No, I mean, I'm surprised, but no judgment.
Yeah,
Do
this
you
is
know what you have to do to get in,
I
or?
for real don't. Like I don't even
Oh,
kind of
interesting.
know.
Interesting. You might be
No.
overthinking it, to be honest, but I can always point you in the right direction off camera. So
Yeah, see, so this
if you
is
want it.
why I had explicitly shared with Sam. I said for some of these, I think I'm just going to need your help. Because a lot of this stuff, it's like stuff that I don't want to Google because
Mm,
the Google will just tell me the answer and I don't
yeah.
want the answer. Whereas if you have like a friend that's figured like this specific mystery out, they could be like, "Oh, you should go to this room and, kind of look around," or if this puzzle is related to this one or, stuff like that. So I've been patiently waiting here, just like, okay, how far are you? um, I am like on day like 40 something.
Mm.
So I've spent just a little bit of time in this game. Hold on, I want to look up my hours. I'm gonna open up Steam. But
I tell you that orchard is very helpful.
is it? Damn it.
Yeah.
That's frustrating. I also, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that I'm like, I feel like I should have already figured this out. That one's one that I'm like, I feel like the answer is obvious, but I don't actually know the answer.
Mm.
Let's see. There's a new patch on Final Fantasy, you guys, and I need to play it. Anyways, I have been playing for basically 27 hours. It's
Mm.
26.9. So It's killing me. I will say my one gripe with the game, and like this is for real, my only gripe with the game, I get so incredibly motion sick in this game.
Uh,
Specifically stairs. For some reason, they only have spiral staircases. I have to close my eyes when I go up and down the staircases. There's some longer ones that you have to like really go for a while, and
mm,
it makes me violently ill. So
fair enough.
yeah, so I'm trying to let's see. I'm trying to think of like how I can give you information without spoiling stuff. I'm trying to drain stuff,
Hmm.
specifically one specific thing.
Hmm.
Um I'm trying to figure out what's up with the flames outside.
Mm.
Uh
Have you gotten into the other side of um the not the garden, but you know, have you got that other gate open that's closer to the
yes.
front door? Okay.
Yeah. I got that open a very long time ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I've opened every single room in there.
Mm.
So, done that. Confused. Have you seen like the fortune telling guy?
Yes,
Very
twice.
confused by him. He gave a fortune and I was like, I don't understand any of what you said.
I think I know what one of the two fortunes I've seen from him. I think I know what one of them means.
Well,
I can't act on it yet, but I think I know what it means.
I think yeah, I don't know. He just can kind of confuses me. I've gotten
To
2
give me an
achievements.
indication of what he said, because I don't know if it's randomized what he
He
says
said
to you.
that there's going to be a day that the gate is open.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
He was very weirdly specific about it, where it was like, well, when this thing happens inside of the house, this gate will open on its own. But I was like, are you lying? Because like it's not open today, and I don't know what other day it would be open because yeah, anyways.
Mm, yeah, so I think it must be randomized then.
Yeah,
What he says,
maybe. I don't know.
because I've seen him
Um,
twice and I haven't heard that. So,
I think I've seen him 3 or 4 times. I don't
oh,
know.
then yeah, maybe then, yeah, okay.
Um, do you have any of the achievements yet, or any of the trophies?
Nope.
Okay. I have 2 of there's 16. So, making our way through a couple of the achievements I just don't think I care to get because I don't think I'm going to try and like 100% it.
Mm,
Like I think one of them is like you have to get to like the room 46 within like an hour or something like that.
yeah,
And I was like that sounds like it's probably going to be a lot more work than I want it to be.
yeah.
So, not doing that. Trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to mention. Still haven't figured out some of those paintings. That's gonna drive me crazy.
That's so wild. That again, no judgment, but like
It sounds pretty judgy.
both the orchard and the paintings. That's so interesting. Do you have like any indication of what the paintings are doing?
I know that mild spoilers, you guys. I know that they're spelling a message,
Yeah.
but I don't have all the letters yet, so like it's pointless.
Okay.
Hold on, I have like 10 notebooks on my desk. Let me get to my notebook. I'm still trying to do the classroom stuff as well, but that's just like pure. I just don't have enough gems to get through, except for that one goddamn day that sucked. I had like what 40 gems or something crazy like that. That was horrible. Could do nothing with it. Let's see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 letters that I need left.
Hmm.
I have it all written out
And have you made
and color coded.
made any words yet?
No, because I don't even know how to order them. I was like, I'm just gonna get all of the letters and then figure it out.
So it's the ordering that you haven't deduced yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because the thing is like for the order, like I know it can't be related to the room because you can see the same picture like in different rooms, like the same combo. He's the worst, you guys. Sam, I'm gonna keep going. At some point, I might need help.
Say the words.
Okay.
I've literally got what the paintings spell out right here.
That's really messed up of you.
Yeah.
It says Sam sucks.
That is part of it, actually. That is the last bit there, yeah.
I will say one of the things that I am actually just gonna flat out ask because it's driving me crazy. So there's a memo somewhere that says red memos are a lie, blue memos are the truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a memo somewhere, I can't remember where it is off the top of my head, but it is a red memo, but it says the safe code is like blah blah blah. But I
Yeah.
haven't
It's
found
in the
any.
boardroom, I think, that one.
Yeah. So I haven't found anything related to that at all. So I don't know if it's like, oh, this is a red memo, so it just like doesn't mean anything. Have you found anything with that?
What do you mean? Like, you found any safes?
Well, I found multiple safes. It's just none of
Okay.
them have that code.
Yeah, I haven't figured out, because like that's obviously there for a reason, but I don't know if it's there for a reason, and then I don't know if it's there so that you take note of it and then you try it. But you would assume that by the nature of where you find the memo about the blue and red, that you're far more likely to come across the memo about blue and red than you are about the safe code first.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like
Yeah. But I also
maybe it's
like
there just as a red herring in case you haven't found that memo about the blue and red yet, but I struggle to believe that.
I do as well, especially with like the whole thing about like the red prints and like red being the favorite color and like all of this stuff. Like I have a really hard time believing, like not necessarily believing the memo, but like just like wholesale throwing everything that's like red away. I don't know.
Yep.
Have you found the bookstore? I am obsessed with the bookstore. I want to buy more books, but it keeps not showing up. There's only one spot. Well, technically two spots you can find it, but one of them is much more rare than the other. So
Mm-hmm.
it's okay, guys. Someday I'll be smart and know what I'm doing.
Maybe.
If I'm not, I'll ask Sam. And if Sam's not, I'll ask Google.
As a last resort, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I ask you something, by the time I'm like, hey, this is a for real question, if you can't answer it, I am going to Google it. But for now, we're okay. Besides getting motion sick, I'm not okay with that, but I can't do much about that.
Yeah.
I listen to podcasts and stuff while I play this game. It's so perfect for like listening to like podcasts or music or whatever. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like quiet little. Hey, you could be playing the game right now while listening to us talk.
Yeah. Do it.
Do it.
It's on Game Pass. It's on PlayStation Plus. Go play it.
I bought it on Steam.
Or do that.
It's not expensive, and I kind of wanted the PC experience with it, just like
Yeah, that's fair, I suppose.
the menus and stuff. I was like, I just want to click.
For clarity, for what it's worth, if they do release like a physical copy at some point, I will buy that.
Yeah, I really want them to do like a special edition, like physical copy.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, I want to yap about one other thing, but I'm gonna be nice. and say we're going to be yapping about The Last of Us. Just a little. We're
Okay.
going to wait till the end after some news because I want to yap about it. But I
Okay.
don't want to spoil people. So let's get into the news really quick. Thank you so much for doing the news, Sam. I appreciate
I
it.
mean, is what it is.
I don't understand what he's saying. Anyways,
Neither do I.
Ghost of Yotei's release date has been announced. It was dropped just on a random weekday. Ghost of Yotei received a new trailer titled "The Onryo's List." The good thing I read this. I was like, even I had a hard time with that one.
Yeah.
Giving us another glimpse at the main narrative hook of the game and some new snippets of gameplay and exploration. The game also received a release date of October 2nd, 2025, and several editions available for purchase / pre-order were unveiled. The pre-orders for the game go live on the 2nd of May, which is very shortly upon us.
Yeah.
So
It certainly is.
that's exciting. How do you feel? How do you feel about Ghost of You? Well, also, can we talk about that? Thank you for sharing too. That soundtrack track
Yeah.
that
There's a
dropped.
track available on streaming services you should go listen to. It's
It's so good.
excellent. Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good. I'm no more or less sold on the game because I was already sold on it. That the trailer is very good, though, I must say.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they're sort of laying a bit more of the narrative groundwork out, and not actually showing us too much of the gameplay editions. And I don't think that that's to like hide the fact that there aren't many gameplay editions, because there very clearly are. So yeah, I'm excited. I wonder when we will like see a proper full unveiling of gameplay. I guess at like a May or June state of play, or maybe a showcase if we're lucky.
Maybe there'll be one on the 2nd of May.
Maybe it's gonna
I
be
know
May.
that would be a really
Um,
weird day for them to have a showcase.
yeah, I feel like it's very strange how they decided to do this, though. I must say that they just randomly dropped the trailer on a weekday with no build up, no announcement, no accompanying event or show, or because that is another break from tradition. Like traditionally they hold these things for a big showcase and then they stop doing showcases, and now we got the precedent of them announcing first party things at the end of state of plays, and now they might not even be doing that. They're just throwing out news when they have it. I mean, it doesn't seem to have hurt the game necessarily, because there was still tons of discussion about it and excitement, lots of engagement still. But I do wonder what the justification or reason is for
People were
not.
too excited about Oblivion.
Yeah,
That's the
everyone's
thing.
focusing too much on Xbox games. We need
And
to
PlayStation said, "Notice me."
notice me, senpai.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, like some speculation has been that with PlayStation likely to get the marketing rights for GTA 6, maybe they know that something is impending for GTA 6, like announcement or new trailer or release date. So they kind of want to get out ahead of that. And that kind of prohibits them from waiting until the end of May or June for their next show. So they just drop the news now so that it has at least like a week or two before GTA's thing happens. That's speculation, obviously, but that would make sense logically in my head.
It could
Otherwise,
also have something to do with like budgeting or like some other random business decision that we have like no access to.
maybe, but then as like outside of Death Stranding, their actual proper first party tentpole title for the year, you would think they'd want that as a big, and this doesn't prevent it from being having a big presence at whatever show they do next. But the reveal of the release date and everything is one less big bombshell thing that they can do alongside what is probably at this stage going to be like a gameplay deep dive the next time we see this.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think we're getting into minutiae. I don't think it matters that much.
Mm.
The release date a little bit later than I was expecting. You know, I was saying like July, August,
Yeah, it's later than I was
um,
expecting for sure.
but not that bad, really. I guess. Um, you know, they have Death Stranding in June, nothing in July or August, I believe. And then they launch Marathon in September, and then this in October.
I do
Um,
wonder because, like, with Tsushima, a lot
mm,
of the scenery was like spring/summery. I wonder if it's like
mm,
it's going to be like autumn. Not
maybe,
that that matters, but I am curious.
yeah, there could be something there, I guess. Um, but I guess this would suggest to me that there probably isn't going to be anything else first party from Sony this year. With how they're
Death
spacing
Stranding
out.
2 canceled.
Well, I mean, Death Stranding
I'm just kidding.
is included, um,
Yeah, because it's coming out before this, right?
and like I could get real cute and be all like hopium of, or maybe at the May or June showcase they reveal that like Venom is an actual thing and it's coming out in 2 months' time, and that is the July or August game. But
And it's
that,
coming out now.
let's be honest, that isn't going to happen. I'd love to be wrong, but I am not going to expect that.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess like that is going to be it for them this year. It's going to be Death Stranding 2 as a second party, technically first party published game, and then Marathon and Ghost of Yotei. But that by proxy means that 2026 is looking to be pretty hefty. You know, Saros, I know reporting says it's 2027, but maybe Intergalactic squeezes in there. You would assume that Wolverine is next year. And then, you know, what else could there be? Cory Barlog's thing, potentially.
I don't think that's coming out for quite some time.
You don't think?
No, I think that's probably going to come out after Naughty Dog's thing.
Interesting. I'm not so sure because Santa Monica weren't led down the live service path like Naughty Dog were. And Cory Barlog has been in pre-pro on this since really the release of 2018 God of War, because he didn't direct Ragnarok. And he was like he was actively working on whatever his new IP is during Ragnarok's development. So I struggle to think that it wouldn't come out before Intergalactic. I mean, again, we don't know, so you could be absolutely right, and I could be talking on my ass, but I feel like timeline wise, and the fact that Santa Monica, as far as we know, haven't had a game cancelled and weren't led astray by live service, that their pipeline is probably a bit tighter than everyone else. We could also, I guess, maybe see like I mean, that there is. I mean, of course, there's the rumors of a new God of War spin-off thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going back to Greece, which could be coming this year. So in that case, maybe I guess if Corey's thing isn't this God of War thing, because it's basically confirmed that he's doing a new IP. If the God of War thing happens this year, as is reported by some insiders, maybe, yeah. But then if Intergalactic is 2027. That means Corey won't have released something in 8. Well, no, like nearly 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
which I guess is feasible, but also is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
We'll see, though.
I mean, I guess it depends on like what the game is and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, new IPs inherently take longer to make anyway, right, than
Yeah.
sequels. So potentially, we can hope. We can
What if
hope.
it's the same year as the Naughty Dog game? That would be so crazy.
Well, I mean, they've put it this way, that everyone says that like PS5 is worse as a generation than PS4, and I think that that might ultimately end up being true. But realistically, the games that you remember PS4 for came in the last 3 years of the life cycle, right?
Right. That's how every single console
Like
ever
God of War
has worked.
2018, Spider-Man, Days Gone, Death Stranding, Last of Us 2, Ghost of Tsushima, even Horizon Zero Dawn to an extent. All of those came in the last 3.5 years of PS4 gen.
Yeah, but
So
also did that with PS3 gen.
exactly, yeah, with Last of Us as the touchstone right at the end of PS3, alongside Uncharted 3 and God of War 3 and uh, countless other things. So I think with the lineup that we are seemingly building here, Saros, Wolverine, Intergalactic, whatever Corey's doing, this new God of War spin-off, you would assume Spider-Man 3 also probably hits this gen, might be cross-generational, but comes out on PS5. Yeah, I think like we are lined up for another slew of bangers. Whether you love them as much is that doesn't really matter. Like the point is that first party are going to be firing off relatively frequently again soon.
Mm-hmm.
So exciting times. But Ghost of Yotei, I can't wait. Truly, it's going to absorb my life. I know it will. And Bree,
Yes.
that collector's edition is.
It's looking pretty sexy. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, it again, it's really fucking annoying that it's a digital game and they don't even have a steelbook. But that having the mask, like I missed out on the Jin Sakai one, and I feel bad in the same way I feel bad about not having the statue from God of War 2018. So I'm like, I kind of want it because it's got like the gold. I can't remember what they call that repair method.
Oh, Kitsungi?
Yeah, but they've got that running through the mask. And it's like white with the gold teeth and everything. It's like that's sick, and it's got the papercraft tree and the. I'm tempted, Brie. I'm tempted.
Can I be honest? If you do it, then like, what if you can just eBay the other one?
I mean, I could just buy the Ghost of Tsushima Collector's Edition on eBay. I could do that.
Mm-hmm. And then you'd have a set.
I could, yeah.
Just
I'm
think
not
about it.
made of me, Brie.
Well, you make it seem like you are.
Oh yeah, I am. Yeah, that's right.
I knew it. Okay, next one.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the news is kind of relatively easy to burn through, to be honest. So,
Hey, let's go.
Indiana Jones is selling faster and better on PS5 than on PC or on Xbox. Duh. Moving on to the next story. Yeah, no, to be serious though, realistically, it's just analysts and Matt Piscatella and people like that, Sakana and what's the name of the institution? Linear Analytics as well. They've all just been studying the sales metrics of Indiana Jones since it released on PS5, and it's trending above the sales on PC and on Xbox. Why do you think Xbox is doing the multi-platform push with their biggest games? You know, because of this. This is going to be true for
Again,
every Xbox game. So
we keep saying the way that Xbox is going to stay afloat is by charging PlayStation customers.
yep, they are almost entirely reliant on external revenue now. That's what happens when you buy mega publishers that, guess what? made their money primarily on PlayStation, including Call of Duty. So that's that. Again, kind of a non-story, but just it was talked about this week that Indiana Jones specifically is selling best on PS5. Who would have guessed? I'll do this one as well, Brie, because there's no link or anything.
I saw the ramble. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so Marathon has had its first closed alpha, and opinions on it are mixed. This isn't really a news story; it's just like a general thing that happened. Again, neither of us, I don't think anybody really at Sega Game Media is overly pumped about Marathon. But as much as it's mixed, I'm kind of reassured, at least for the time being, that it wasn't like this thing is DOA or this thing is terrible. They're like most of the coverage, even the mixed ones, are like, I can actually see something here.
Yeah,
I just
I mean,
have
well, we've never seen a game be dead on arrival. Never seen it happen.
no, except for half of Xbox's library. And Concord, rest in peace. Concord is sat right there alongside the Pope together.
Maybe he can play Concord now.
Jealous. Maybe this religion thing has something to it, Yeah, everyone's saying that there seems to be good foundations here and it's fun to play, but they're just worried about the longevity, which I guess is kind of what we were all thinking. Like, it's probably going to be received well and probably will find an audience, but how long does it last? And that has kind of persisted in the opinions from people who've played it in this first closed alpha. There is another closed alpha coming, I think, in the next few days, or at least codes for the next closed alpha are going out, I think, tomorrow at time of recording. Not that I'm trying to get into it, but yeah, I think that is reassuring, right? Even if opinions are mixed, with conversation as it is online most of the time nowadays, the fact that it isn't like this thing is dead on arrival is actually pretty good.
Yeah. And they also have some time to make some changes, not like huge changes, but
yeah, exactly. They've still got 3 months ish before release in September. So
yeah,
we'll see. And they've already Bungie have already been proactive in speaking to the community and taking feedback and saying, like, these couple of things that you've pointed out to us, we are actually going to be remedying. So hopefully they can keep that cadence up, act on things fast, balance and patch the game, and maybe get it into a even better state for sort of 1.0 official release or whatever. Fingers crossed for them, because I think the Bungie do need the win here. I don't know if Marathon is going to be the win, but it just needs to not be a stinker, which signs suggest it won't be, but reserving judgment, I guess, until it does release. So
okay. Next one.
Sure.
Doom the Dark Ages has received an official PS5 exclusive first look reveal of the Cosmic Realm. On PlayStation socials, YouTube, and PlayStation blog, a new video for Doom the Dark Ages has been shared that reveals a new cosmic realm in-game, full of Lovecraftian creatures to slay your way through. Slay. There's also confirmation that there are a total of 22 levels in the game when it releases on May 15th. That's going to be May 13th for early access peeps.
Yeah. What a time we live in, Brie.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
We do
An
live in a time.
Xbox-owned first-party game is getting exclusive first-look reveals on PlayStation channels, which, again, to the point of Indiana Jones, like the multi-platform push, they're marketing to the audience that they need to market to. Because the PS5 players are the ones that have to buy the game. So you're going to funnel the marketing towards them, because you can still market to the Xbox community that it's on Game Pass. And you can buy it on Xbox if you want to.
Can I ask you, do you think this is a win-win situation for PlayStation and Xbox?
Yeah, I mean, there aren't really any losers. Um, I mean, the thing I've always said is that, and I don't mean this as an attack, is that the only people losing, in quotes, are the Xbox centric players who only have an Xbox. And people have always retorted back to me when I've made that conversation, brought that up in conversation about this whole multi-platform strategy. They're like, yeah, but Xbox players aren't losing anything. And I say, well, yeah, they aren't losing anything, but they are the only people, the only consumers in this equation that aren't gaining anything. Because Nintendo and PlayStation players are gaining games that they wouldn't have access to on their platform of choice. Xbox players aren't gaining anything from this multi-platform push, unless you want to count sustainability of Game Pass as a thing you're gaining, but that's not really a win. That's actually more concerning than anything, that you have to do this to sustain the thing that you are buying into. So, like, there isn't a loser necessarily, but it is just inherently true that Xbox players are the ones that are benefiting the least because they aren't benefiting. That their equation hasn't changed. The equation for every other player on every other platform has actively improved because they are gaining access. Even if they have to pay for the games, they are having the option of access to an entire library of games that they wouldn't have had access to previously. So, buying it or not, PlayStation, PC, Nintendo players are at an inherent options advantage over Xbox. Xbox has the benefit of affordability, I guess, and saving money upfront per month via Game Pass, but that's all they have. And they aren't gaining new games that they didn't have access to previously. They are just maintaining the library. So there isn't a loser, and it's a win-win for the consoles, for the publishers or organizations, I should say, because Xbox is making more money than ever, and PS5 is just becoming the de facto premium console to buy if you're wanting the at-home high fidelity experience. So yeah, there isn't a loser.
Okay. That's what I was thinking. I was like, this has to be a win-win situation for them because, like, it's games that they wouldn't have gotten anyways. And my guess is that they're probably charging a little bit of a premium to have those games on PlayStation too. Like, they're probably getting a slightly larger cut.
I mean, but even if they aren't, you are seeing it now with games like, I mean, even Indiana Jones technically, because Indiana Jones was already out on Xbox and PC, but especially with something like Forza Horizon 5, which has been out for like 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to PS5 and it's released, obviously at time of recording, they are doing the premium editions that have early access and include DLCs and everything for a game that's already out on other platforms. So they'll get more money just from people buying the basic editions on PlayStation or Switch or whatever. But they are, Microsoft, rightly, like, why wouldn't they, are trying to milk the people that are either worried about FOMO or want the DLC packed in for technically the best price, whatever, or the early access. It's like, get your bag, you know. The reason that you're doing the multi-platform push in the first place is to get as much money and return as possible on these products. So why would you not do that? And of course, the early access stuff will be prevalent as well when it becomes day and date releases on PlayStation, not just, ports after the fact, because we're seeing that with Doom, right, where it's got 2-day early access, reserved behind like a deluxe premium edition or whatever. And that'll be the same for Gears and Halo and Fable and Perfect Dark and all the other stuff that's yet to come. So they're all making bank. And again, PS5, PlayStation, every single copy of an Xbox game that is sold on PlayStation is getting depending on the cut deal, but I would wager it's probably pretty close to the standard. PlayStation is getting 30% of that sale, and they haven't had to do anything to get that money.
Yeah,
they
that's
haven't had to
true.
make the game. They haven't had to pay to market it. Xbox is coming to them, giving them the marketing materials. They're just asking to host it on the storefront, which is what PlayStation does with third-party games anyway. So PlayStation is just raking in, even if it's less money than Xbox is raking in per sale, they're getting free money that they haven't had to do anything for. Xbox have had to fund the development of the game and the marketing of the game, and then they get the 70%.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it is a win-win for both.
Okay. All right. Next one.
Yeah. So again, just the couple of PS Plus things here. A PS Plus essential title for May may have been leaked. As shared on the PlayStation Reddit, a user showed a screenshot of the PS Plus landing page for them that showed Until Dawn, presumably the 2024 remaster remake, within the monthly games category. Though no official confirmation has been made, the game's relatively poor critical reception upon release last year, alongside the recent release of the movie in theaters, would make this an opportune time to get it into the hands of players via the service. Makes sense. I don't know that many people are going to be interested in buying it, considering how it was received. Maybe you could argue that based off of the film coming out, you might want to give it like a month or two's birth post the film coming out, so that anybody who did go and see the film and wanted to play the game would have to buy it. But I also don't know how wide that Venn diagram is. So I think that if it does come as a essential monthly game next month, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's shocking to me.
We'll see though.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Certainly will.
And unfortunately, Brie, I'll take this one because
Please do. I'm too devastated. I can't even.
Thanks. You're sharing in my grief. A whopping 22 games we don't normally talk about this, but it's worth pointing out. A whopping 22 games are set to leave PlayStation Plus on the 20th of May. So just under a month away. So get in if you want to play these games. The games are as follows. GTA 5 for both PS5, PS4. MotoGP 24 for both. The Sims 4 Island Living for PS4. Resistance, Fall of Man, and Resistance 2 are both leaving PS Plus Premium. Then a slew of PSVR 2 titles, including Walkabout Mini Golf, Synth Riders, Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord, Before Your Eyes, which is one of the best VR games ever, in my opinion. And then both Walking Dead Saints and Sinners and Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2 are leaving. And then for a few other games, Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, Stranded Alien Dawn, the Lego Movie 2, Ghost Runner, Payday 2, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, Journey to the Savage Planet, Portal Knights, Enter the Gungeon, Batman Arkham Knight, and interestingly as well, Infamous Second Son. All of those are leaving on May 20th.
Can we talk about how, like, they should have lined up one of the two? Either take 2 games off the list and remove it on May 20th, or put it 2 days later and have it removed on the 22nd of May.
Nah,
That was a huge mess up on their part.
nah, they just want to, drive the knife in that little bit deeper. They don't care
So
about
close. Yeah, so
2020. They don't care about that.
2020 or 22, either one.
It just like this is a big drop of games leaving the service, regardless. But what doesn't make sense to me is, I mean, obviously there's one that really hurts me, but like where we ended off, Infamous Second Son. That is a first party title.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to pay licensing fees for that.
Mm-hmm.
So why is it leaving the service? That doesn't make any sense. Especially because it's PS4. so you can play it natively. It is not a streaming only thing that relies on servers. Very strange.
It
Then
it is a bit strange.
alongside that, you have all the PSVR 2 titles leaving, which for those in the know, and I am in the know, this accounts for, I think, over half of the PSVR 2 games that are available on PlayStation Plus Premium. So you're losing like half of the PSVR 2 library with this one wipe of content, which is
But you're not
insane.
losing it. You're just losing free access to it.
Well, sure, like you can still buy these games, of course you can. But if you've redeemed them and added them via PlayStation Plus, you won't be able to access them again until you buy them, or they rejoin the service. But this is strange, particularly because this was an initiative that PlayStation started doing really just over half a year ago. Sort of around this time last year was when every month they were putting in a PSVR 2 title or two every month for 5 or 6 months. And they're already leaving, which is strange. But, you know, not
Do you
horrendous
really
because
think it's that strange?
yeah, I mean,
If they're like losing a lot of money on this because there's not a huge user base to like pay subscription fees to pay for this.
I mean, yeah, but you still need incentives for people to subscribe to PlayStation Plus Premium, and having
Right.
the classic titles is one reason, and like the as much as it, again, is a small Venn diagram, I'm aware. Removing these kind of heavy hitters like Walking Dead, both of those in particular, Before Your Eyes, Synth Riders as well. Like those are big games, and they weren't added that long ago. And like you're right, it could be emblematic of there just being a seeming lack of interest or engagement or whatever, lack of increase in subs specifically for the VR2 games, which I assume they can track via that engagement. Like it just seems weird that they are at the same time as increasing PlayStation Plus prices around the world, removing these incentives to subscribe to the higher tiers. Like the classic stuff, that's good. You know, they're improving that. They are adding trophy support to pretty much every classic game they're putting in now. That's excellent. Love to see that. They're getting a bit of an up-res just naturally via implicit conversions. The studio that do those ports, that's great. I don't know. And talking about classics, like obviously the one that hurts me most, like Resistance 1 and 2. And again, those were added half a year ago.
Maybe they're doing a collection.
Don't hurt me, Brie.
I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to help you.
So like that is a point of conversation that has percolated in the resistance spheres of social media, which
10
I'm
people.
obviously part of. There are dozens of us.
Singular dozen.
I don't like being called out like that. Like yeah, they were added like half a year ago. And I don't know why you would go through the effort as Sony to either reactivate or specifically dedicate PS3 server blades for you to access these games and then remove them half a year later. It's very strange to me. Particularly because that was the only way to access these games via PS5. You can't buy them, you can't download them natively. The only way, if you wanted to play Resistance and Resistance 2 on PS5, was via streaming on the premium tier. And now that's gone. Again, even though it was added 6 months ago. So I just don't know what the logic is Even if there was a collection or something, which I'm not allowing myself to think is going to happen, but even if there was, I don't know why you would, ahead of that, add these into PlayStation Plus Premium and then remove them so soon after they were added in. If they had been there the whole time and you're removing them now,
What if you're the only one that downloaded them?
I mean, I know for a fact that isn't true. There was at least one other person. But yeah, I'm just confused because it would make sense if these were always available, even just via streaming on Premium. If they were always available and they were removed now to prepare for, a Resistance collection remaster, whatever announcement at the summer show that they're going to do in a month or so's time. Cool. We'd still be wondering, like right now, in the here and now, of why are they gone, but then we get an answer. But for them to have been added so recently and now removed again, I don't understand what's going on. There is, I guess, some maybe logic in the fact that these or a lot of these things will be added back in again, but they're being arbitrarily taken out so that they can bolster some of the monthly additions in the coming months or years. That is what subscription services do. GTA is leaving. GTA 5 is leaving. That's been in PlayStation Plus several times, and it sort of comes in and out in waves. And it's another nice splash screen image to show for when it does come back,
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's part of it.
Let me paint a picture for you.
Okay.
PlayStation is like, hey, we're going to put out Resistance Fall of Man and Resistance 2 on the PlayStation Plus Premium. Those are our classic gamers. We just want to test the waters to see how much there is interest in Resistance. They've tested the waters now. They're like, okay, things are looking good. We're pulling back. We're going to take them off. We're going to make a remastered collection. Then we're going to make a new one.
See, you're giving me mixed messages here, Brie, because like a minute and a half ago you said you weren't trying to hurt me. And now here you are actively hurting me.
I'm just trying to give you hope.
No, you're not.
Trying to inject some hopium.
No, you're actively hurting me. My emotions are hurt.
I will say the PSVR 2 for me feels like it's not that crazy. It really just feels like, hey, like there's just not much of an audience in PSVR 2. Of the audience, a lot of those people aren't using PlayStation Plus Premium. Like, let's just pull out, get a little bit more money out of this. That one makes more sense. I will say the Resistance one does confuse me, but I really do think that they have to be doing something with that. The rest of the stuff, like they're pulling GTA 5 because they want to make money for 6. Like, the rest of the stuff is like random stuff, or there's like a somewhat obvious reason.
Yeah, and I mean, like Infamous doesn't make any sense to me either.
Maybe
Again,
they're
because
doing
it's
more Infamous.
first, but again, that like that would
I
be
don't think that one's
exciting.
true.
But like, why would if that was the? And I know you're sort of being facetious, but like if that was the case, you would remove Infamous 1 and 2, which are available via streaming. Why would you remove the PS4 one? Because that would be the same as like getting rid of God of War 1 and 2.
Are they gonna remake it?
And not 3.
Well, of
Because 3
all
is
of the
already
Infamous
natively
games,
available.
of all of the Infamous games to remake, I would say Second Son would make the most sense to me. I know it's the most recent, but I also think it's like one of the most popular.
I don't think that's true at all.
Really?
I mean, Second
The
Son
one I've
is
heard the most about.
Second Son is the worst regarded of the 3. by a long shot.
I feel like it's the only one I ever hear about, but
I mean, it probably is, but that's mainly because it was very close to the launch window of PS4, and it still does graphically hold up very well, even today.
then I don't know.
Yeah, like it's very peculiar, and also like if there was a Resistance collection, it's strange that Resistance 3 is still available on premium via streaming. Like, why just why add in the first two games so recently and then take them back out, but still leave 3 in there, which has been in there the whole time? It's just because all of those are PS3 games. They're all the trilogy was on PS3. It's not like again, it's not like an Infamous thing where Infamous 1 and 2 were on PS3, but Second Son was on PS4. So why are they removing the PS4 one but not the PS3 ones?
Are you ready for my worst answer so far?
Don't.
They're making room for other games on the PlayStation Plus catalog.
They're adding in some shovelware Barbie and Friends games.
Yeah, and they need to have space for it.
A worthwhile trade.
For you to get some more for you to get some more platinums? I don't know, maybe.
I've been giving them the wrong data, the wrong metrics. They saw me platinuming like the My Little Pony stuff, and they're like that's what they want.
Yeah.
Screw this Infamous and Resistance stuff.
Yep. This is all your fault, Sam. This is what you get. All right. Well, that's everything. We have some questions. Anything that's urgent, because I do want to yap about one more thing, but we also don't have to go.
We can forget Taylor's question because it's like, what is that even in reference to?
You're yeah, we can answer that.
He is okay. We're not going to answer the question, but he's talking about the fan-made Bloodborne demake. That was like news 2.5 years ago, Taylor.
Yeah.
Why are you asking the question now?
Yeah.
Again, rest in peace, Taylor. But you know, come on, man.
Yeah. Do you think he's hanging out with the Pope too?
No.
They're just playing Concord together.
No, because what happened, what clearly happened was the Pope booted up Concord and they were getting ready to play together, and then Taylor had to go to the bathroom and he's stuck there. So he can't find his way out.
Can't find his way out of the Resident Evil bathroom. Dude, I will never, like, if Taylor is ever like, oh, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, I'll be like, don't go. Well, there he goes for never seeing him again.
Yeah.
Silly.
I think we can tackle Ty's and Kyle's. Brandon, we will get Ty and Kai. We will get to your question as well, Brandon. Don't worry, but we'll save that for next week. Okay. So Ty says, with Xbox going more into their stride with releasing games and seemingly having too much content, adding and releasing high quality games like Clair Obscur and Elder Scrolls Oblivion, alongside the rise of prices in games, does it make the subscription proposition that Sony fears more attractive, or is this a talking point that means nothing? Throwing a little bit of saucy shade there, Ty, at the end, as you are wont to do with your hot takes and conversations in the Discord. Love to see it. Keep it up. Healthy debate is always good.
Just the way that you said it.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
I like your sauce.
I do like your sauce. Not that kind of sauce. Ty, I mean, there's no doubt that Game Pass is having a very strong week, in particular with Clair Obscur and Oblivion Remastered. There's no doubt about that. Mm-hmm. Does it make it more attractive? Maybe. But I remain resolute in the fact that I think that there is a demonstrable concrete ceiling to subscription services. I don't know that Game Pass is going to have some rapid exponential growth now because they have these games or games like it in the service. I think that pumping out this much content on this consistent of a basis is going to, at some point, cross a threshold where it becomes an active detriment. Not only for consumers because they just don't have time to play all of these games that are coming out, which is, I think they've already kind of crossed that line, but also for them as an organization because they are pumping out games that realistically need to make revenue. And if you aren't growing in subscribers, then you are releasing games and making very little active new money off of it. You're still making the stagnant income off of existing Game Pass subscribers, but that's not new money. And you'll get money from the multi-platform push, of course, but I don't know that this makes Game Pass more attractive. If put it this way, I'm here, and I'm someone who can very easily access Game Pass either via my PC or my Xbox Series S. I have avenues to access Game Pass. I bought Oblivion, and I didn't have to buy Clair Obscur, but if I didn't get a code and was covering it for IGN, I would have bought that as well, based off of the reviews. So I'm not saying that every person who isn't subscribed to Game Pass is like me, but I'm someone who has like active, easy methods to save myself money by buying into Game Pass for a month. And I'm still choosing not to do that. So that's a subjective viewpoint on it, but I think they'll naturally gain some subscribers from this, especially Oblivion, right? Because of the nostalgia factor. It's doing numbers, but I don't know, man. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll eat my hat. I'll eat crow. That's fine. But I don't think, you know, Black Ops 6 was super highly regarded, and that's Call of Duty. And that came out on Game Pass at the end of last year, and they haven't reported a massive increase in subscribers. They haven't reported a new subscriber count. So if Call of Duty doesn't do that, a well-regarded Call of Duty at that doesn't do it, then I don't think that something as excellent as Clair Obscur is, it's still relatively niche for the time being. And Oblivion is Oblivion, but you know, so that's where I'm at. My opinion hasn't changed, long and short of it.
All right. I'm going to slightly devil's advocate, just slightly.
How dare you?
I think from a consumer perspective, just like generic consumer doesn't really pay attention to everything going on. I do think with the way, especially like America's not doing great now, guys. With the cost of like everything rising, I do understand thinking like if I just have the subscription, like I won't have to worry about paying for games to keep me entertained while I'm trying to survive this recession. Right? Like if you're thinking about just like a consumer cost, we're not talking about like the long-term effects like that's like will happen with Xbox the way that they're like pushing games out, all of the ignoring all of that stuff and just talking about it from a consumer perspective. I definitely can understand that. I can understand like I am super low on money. I'm trying to budget and this is about the most that I can afford every month, but it gets me hundreds of hours of games to play. This is definitely something that can help me survive, the next couple months or couple years or whatever happens, right?
Mm.
I think from that perspective, it makes sense. What I will say, posing it as a subscription proposition that Sony fears, like Sony has no reason to be scared. The PlayStation user base is very happy from what I can tell with like where things are with PlayStation Plus subscription. As well as like what games that are coming to PlayStation from Xbox or what games that are coming to PlayStation from like first party PlayStation games. Like I might be biased there, but like I think that I think that PlayStation people are doing just fine. So
Yeah, like it goes back to the whole point that we've discussed sort of ad nauseum, really, where there was a time and place where Sony was very afraid of Game Pass because of the unknowns, right? When the ABK thing was going through judges and courts, and Jim Ryan was saying, you know, without Call of Duty, we're dead, and all this. And they were like actively afraid of Game Pass because they didn't know what the effect would be of Call of Duty going into Game Pass. How fundamentally would that shift things in Xbox's favor? And again, like they have the metrics now. it didn't shift things in Xbox's favor. Certainly not in any sizable, short-term, immediately visible impact. Again, maybe over time Game Pass grows and becomes like a far more prominent thing. But again, I just think the ceiling is too low for where Xbox wouldn't need it to be, where it can become this monstrous, unstoppable thing. Like, I just don't think Game Pass or any gaming subscription service will ever reach that. And like, I know that PlayStation Plus isn't the be all and end all, but like PlayStation Plus has over 10 million more subscribers than Game Pass does. And I know that it's a bigger install base, but still, PlayStation Plus isn't core to the PlayStation business model in the way that Game Pass is to the Xbox centric business model. And Sony is doing better in terms of subscriber count. So, and they aren't putting day one games onto PlayStation Plus from first party, whereas Xbox are, and they have less subscribers, so they're not afraid anymore. Especially because the games are coming over to PlayStation now from teams that wouldn't naturally port their games over. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Like you say, the global economy could shift in any direction, and that may influence consumer habits. But my assumption is that even if things deteriorate globally economically, people will just become more picky with their choices, and will just maybe not buy games, and will resort to other forms of entertainment that are maybe more affordable and more digestible, like streaming shows and stuff. And we'll pick those kind of subscription services that the whole family can partake in, movie nights or binging a show or something, than a gaming subscription. But yeah. Thank you for the question, Ty, as always. And I think we can do like a yes or no for Kyle's, to be honest. Should Sony delay Marathon, putting it out on the same day as Borderlands 4 and then a week before Yotei? Yotei seems like Marathon is set up to fail.
Wildly different from Yotei. Like, those audiences are not.
Yeah, the Venn diagram doesn't cross over there. Borderlands 4 is interesting because it seems like PlayStation will have the marketing for Borderlands 4. You know, they're doing the dedicated state of play for Borderlands 4 at some point this year before it comes out in September. So that is a bit peculiar, I guess, that they're marketing something that is going to be coming out the same day as an actual like first party product in Marathon. I mean, I think the logical answer would be yes, right? Where even if the Venn diagram doesn't quite cross over even between Marathon and Borderlands, like they're both first person shooters. Like, I know one's an extraction shooter and one's a looter shooter, but like there may be crossover there in terms of audience. So maybe
I have to wonder if Sony knows that one of the two is going to slip.
Yeah, maybe. It's also interesting to see, speaking about Borderlands being a 2K Take-Two game, like how much is like Marathon getting a day and now Yotei getting a day and Borderlands 4 having a day, how much of that is privy to or in preparation / avoidance of GTA 6, right? Assuming GTA 6 is still this year. Have they given Marathon that date because they know that Borderlands is coming out on that date. So that means that GTA 6 isn't near that date. Right?
It's possible. I would almost say, like, I feel like if GTA 6 is coming out, I feel like it's pretty safe to say that's gonna be a December.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be November or December, right? I think like those last couple of months is.
So that doesn't leave, like, because Marathon, it sounds like Marathon's not going to be ready at least until September, end of
Mm,
September, right? So then if you push it out, like, let's say end of October, that's ever looming close, ever looming closer and closer to where GTA 6 may be. Now, I will say I don't think that like all games will forever be able to maybe avoid where GTA 6 might be. Like at some point, like at some point people are just going to have to start like, all right, I guess we're just going to release and hope.
yeah.
But I will say I think that like shooters in particular will have to be careful. Like if Yotei and GTA 6 released on the exact same day, I think that would suck,
Hmm.
but I don't think it would be like end of the world suck.
Yeah. I mean, it would significantly cripple Yotei, no doubt, but it wouldn't. The people that want to play Yotei will play Yotei. Now, a fair number of the people that would want to play Yotei will inevitably also want to play GTA 6 and would choose GTA 6 almost certainly.
Yeah, but then it would just be a delay in revenue for Yotei, right? Because
Yeah.
those people would still come back.
But I mean, like, as is the way with everything, you kind of want those strong at launch numbers
Oh
to be able
yeah,
to
for
boast
sure.
about, and so
I'm just saying I think
um
that it would be a huge detriment to Marathon or Borderlands 4 if
yeah,
it was
no,
the same
in
day as
with
GTA 6 versus like Yotei, it would suck, but it wouldn't be like
yeah, like I'm with you there, where the compared to something like a GTA 6 launching same day as Yotei, Marathon launching the same day as Borderlands, I don't think either of those games necessarily actively cripple the other. Um,
yeah.
like there is enough delineation there, even if they are both shooters. People that want to play the extraction shooter of the two will play the extraction shooter of the two. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be okay. I don't think that Sony should delay Marathon, but I also do think it sucks that it's the same day as Borderlands 4.
yeah, I mean, like there is always wiggle room, I think, where it could be a very minor delay.
Yeah,
Where,
if they can lock GTA 6 down.
yeah, if they know exactly when GTA 6 is coming and they can delay Marathon for like a couple of weeks and still have a bit of birth before GTA 6, then that's probably the smart move.
Yeah.
Because then
Let's
they have the marketing ploy of Borderlands 4, then a week later they get Yotei, and then a week or two later they get Marathon, and then GTA 6, all of which PlayStation will seemingly likely be marketing all four of those games.
well, let's
So,
say that PlayStation's able to lock it down. Just as an example. Let's say they lock it down and they're like, "Okay, it's going to be like middle of the second week of December."
mm,
Like that we know exactly this is exactly when GTA is going to release. I don't know the dates. This is exactly when GTA is going to release. Um then they would be able to they could move Marathon into November.
they could. Yeah.
And
It
then
just
it would
depends
be
on
September,
whether
October, November, December,
just
right?
depends on whether Rockstar would want to release GTA in December. I mean, they can release whenever they want, let's be honest, it's GTA, but um
How funny would it be? I would like really love to see them release on like Christmas Day or something like that. That would be so funny to me.
yeah. I honestly don't really know when they're going to be doing GTA. I mean, obviously nobody knows, but
Nobody
like
knows. Well, they know,
nothing really
but
makes sense in my head currently. Which would lead you to believe that they're delaying, but like
well,
I
let's
also
see.
don't think it's going to be delayed.
So let's pretend they're gonna. Do you want to pretend they're releasing on like Thursday, Friday, or Tuesday?
That's probably a Tuesday.
Okay. So we have Tuesday, December 2nd, or December 9th, or December 16th for this year.
Mm.
We also have, like, obviously, like, November. But November feels weird to me. I really don't think it'll be in November. My guess is it's either early December or it's not this year.
You know what? I'm going to throw out a date.
Okay.
I'm just going to say November 25th.
Let me look.
I know you said that would be weird.
Okay.
In November, but I'm saying 25th of November.
Okay, add it to your calendars, people. That's when GTA 6 is coming out. Sam is disgustingly right half the time, so.
And if I'm wrong,
50-50 chance.
Then I'm wrong. I was about to say that I would do something, but I don't really want to do anything.
Yeah, I was waiting.
Wrong,
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. So I'll just be wrong.
Okay.
You can all point and laugh.
I do that anyways.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. Well, last thing. Okay, I'm going to look you dead in the face. Hi, we're going to be talking about spoilers. This spoiler is a spoiler for both season 2, episode 2 of the show, as well as The Last of Us 2, the game. If you are wanting to experience either of those things, this is your warning to go do those things. Love you. Bye. Okay, Sam.
Yeah.
How did you feel about episode 2?
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Okay, what don't you like?
Pretty much everything about it, to be honest. And I hate to be a hater, but I am currently.
Oh, well, it's your natural state of being.
It's true. Yeah, I just don't agree with the creative differences that they've decided to go with. I think that, and this is coming right from the perspective of someone who loved Last of Us Part 2, the game, and I had no issues with its structure. I think that laying out Abby's motives and past from the offset, and I'm saying this knowing that it's a different medium and there are, you have to wait week to week. And I'm also saying this knowing that season 2 isn't covering the entirety of the second game. So there's going to have to be probably a year or so's wait between season 2 and season 3. I know that. But two things can be true at once, where I don't think that the journey of The Last of Us Part 2 is going to work anywhere near as well if we know most things about Abby right off the bat. Because you still have right now the desired effect of really hating Abby for what she did and how she did it. I didn't have a problem with the difference in how she killed Joel. Right? I don't care that she stabbed him with the broken golf club. I don't care about that. That's fine. Doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But we hate Abby now in spite of the fact that we already know stuff about her. Whereas in the game, we hated her because we didn't know anything about her and she didn't give any explanation. And the whole journey of the game was walking in her shoes and learning about her over time of who she is, what her personality is like, and then the trauma that she's experienced. And after the fact, what she did to Joel is then, for some people, depending on how you react to the second game, justified, and you begin to appreciate her as a character more. We already know why she did what she did, and then she did it.
I'm assuming you watched the making of thing.
Yeah. So I know that Abby has the Yara and Lev stuff to come, which is going to be great, I'm sure. But I think it was the Yara and Lev stuff in hand with learning about her dad and who she used to be. Those things in sync, I think, for me, is what helped win me over to Abby's side. We saw her be cruel, and then we learned about why she was cruel. In the show, we learned about why she was cruel, and now we've seen her be cruel. And that's where we are. So I just don't know where the character progresses from that, because the reveal and justification that makes us reflect on the thing that she did has already happened. Yeah.
I would say one, it didn't bother me. So that's one thing. But like as far as like justifications, like I would say like I'm wondering if they're trying to change the tone of the story.
That's just such a mistake, in my opinion.
I have no beef with it. Um I didn't have any issues with knowing the information ahead of time. Um I think that this like kind of allows us to more focus in on like on Ellie and like the revenge piece. I don't know. I like
I
I like
yeah,
the show so far.
I
Kind of
like it.
just
Like it's well made. The story is going to fundamentally be so different,
yeah.
because either you're kind of where I am, where like we as people who play the game know what Abby does and we know why she did it. So we go into this season knowing all of that information already. But people watching this for the first time, not knowing about the second game,
But doesn't that put everybody on an even playing field?
yeah, but that's not good.
I don't think that it's a good thing to put like the people who've already experienced it and the people that are just first experiencing it on the same playing field so that they
No,
can like all kind of experience something together.
no,
Okay.
no, because that would be like putting the Riley scene in season 1 in episode 1. So we know Ellie's backstory and how she got bit and why she feels so passionate about helping people and what she's lost. It wouldn't work if the Riley scene, if the Riley episode was the first episode of episode 1 or the second episode after the outbreak.
I
It
surely
doesn't
feel
work.
like that wouldn't bother me.
It's the same reason for why in the Last of Us Part 1 re-release, Left Behind is integrated into the story when Joel is incapacitated.
Mm.
Like it's integrated partway through the story for a reason. It's to elicit a specific emotion from people experiencing it for the first time.
See, I
We didn't
feel
go
like
into The Last of Us 1 as a game knowing that Joel was gonna kill all the fireflies and then lie to Ellie. We didn't go into The Last of Us 2 knowing as a game that Joel was gonna die and that Abby was the daughter of the doctor that Joel killed and yada yada yada. And I feel like stripping that future reveal away from watchers of the show means that it's going to be a far greater hurdle to clear for them to make people get back on Abby's side, even with the Yara and Lev stuff. Because again, we hate Abby at the beginning of the game because she doesn't say who she is. She doesn't say why she's there, why she's killing Joel. And Joel dies with us as the player and Ellie as the character not having any information about why. So we are lockstep with Ellie, being Ellie hates them because she knows nothing. We as the player hate Abby because we know nothing. We, as the viewer of the show, know most things about Abby now. Ellie probably still doesn't. So we are going to be on a completely different emotional journey than we were with Ellie in the game as we are going to be with Ellie with the show. Because the viewers, we know the overall journey of the second game and what it's probably going to look like in the show. They aren't going to deviate that crazily from the events. Ellie's still going to kill all of Abby's friends and yada, yada, yada. Jesse's going to die, spoilers. But like, we're going to be seeing that vengeance come out of Ellie, knowing both sides. Like the beauty of the game is that we see the violence from Ellie first, from her perspective, and we're killing all of these people that we hate. And then we see Abby's side. And the first thing we see when we see Abby's side is learning that her dad was the doctor.
Listen, so I don't disagree with you that it's not like a beautiful thing to experience, but it's also something that is partially that you're able to experience because it is an interactive medium. And I will say I trust Neil Druckmann enough that I think he's trying to do something different with the show. And I trust him enough to let it be.
I don't know that
You know?
I trust them, but I'm more just hoping that they land the plane rather than knowing that they're going to here. Because they took some creative swings and a few differences here and there in season 1. But for what The Last of Us 2 is about the cycles of violence and trying to appreciate and understand the other side. I know a lot of people didn't like The Last of Us Part 2 and specifically its structure, but I just don't know that you are going to be able to win people over to Abby's side when all the cards are on the table already. Because we had the cards on the table before she killed Joel. So Joel is now dead, and we know why Abby did it. And now we're going to go and see Ellie hunt down Abby. And the whole time, which to be clear, was technically the point of the game, was to be like, why can't you just speak to each other? Why can't you just stop? Just stop it. Nobody wins here.
Yeah.
So that's going to be happening in the show as well. I appreciate that. But I just don't know what they can do with Abby specifically as a character that made her so ultimately compelling and like enthralling and lovable to me. I don't know that they're going to be able to accomplish those things when the only room left for her character to grow in a like compassionate way is Yara and Lev. So Yara and Lev might become a far larger, more instrumental, long-standing part of the show across both this season and next, which is like, that'd be cool. I'd love as much Yara and Lev as we can get, flesh that out with Isaac as well, do all of that stuff. But right now, in the here and now, I'm not sold that. And you said like doing something new. And again, I started this whole thing off by saying it's a different medium. I appreciate that. And there's going to be a wait between season 2 and season 3. So who knows where season 2 leaves off, where season 3 picks up. That is going to influence our opinions on these things. Like, what feeling are we left with that's going to sit with us for a year or more at the end of season 2 leading into season 3? That will inevitably steer some of their creative decisions on what they do or don't do in this show or this season.
Do you think that they're going to wait to have Ellie leave until the end of season 2 and then have season 3 be Seattle?
I don't think so.
Don't think they're gonna wait that long, right?
I mean, it could
I
be
think it'll be one more and then
it could be
go.
a misdirect, but like we've seen in the trailers the footage of the Ellie playing
Seattle.
Take On Me and everything.
Yeah.
And that's in Seattle. So I don't know. Like, because to me, if you're following the game, the obvious thing that makes sense is this season is Ellie's season and season 3 is Abby's. Right. And the cliffhanger, logically, if you're going strictly off of the game, would be the confrontation in the theater, right?
Mm.
You know, you killed all of my friends and we let you live, cut to black. You know, just before Tommy gets shot, just after Jesse is killed, you cut to black there. But that is a very brutal way to end a season, where you then have to wait a year to see what happens. And season 3 is Abby's side leading up to the confrontation, which would inherently be towards the latter part of season 3. So that I admit that wouldn't necessarily work. You kind of do have to intertwine it a little bit more. But I think my issue just roots in the fact that showing Abby's motives this early on doesn't sit right with me. I feel there had to be a bit of nebulousness for the time being so that we can hate Abby for what she did. And then an episode or two later, we start to get the breadcrumbs of why she did it. So we see Ellie begin the vengeance, begin killing a couple of Abby's friends. And then the penny starts to drop of, oh, this is what Abby and her crew were about. This is the reasons why she did what she did. And then they can start to mesh together as they do in the game. It's like either right now we know all of Abby's motives. So either we are sat there as a viewer, especially as someone who hasn't played the game, you're either sat there siding with Abby because you understand why Abby killed Joel. You're compassionate, empathetic to that. So you're on Abby's side, in which case watching Ellie go on her revenge trip is going to be pretty hard to watch. Because again, you're like, all of these characters on Abby's side are just people who had equal justification for doing what they did to Joel as Joel did to the Fireflies. Or you hate Abby in spite of them telling you her motives already, in which case she's an unsalvageable character and you just want her to be killed, which I think is the problem with a lot of people's conversation around part 2 of the game, is that people just failed to open themselves up to the idea of their minds being changed about Abby.
Mm.
So I just think they're in a tough spot. Now, I'm not saying that they can't navigate through that. I just think that they've made it demonstrably harder for themselves by revealing Abby's cards now. If they'd done it in episode 3 or episode 4, just giving it a little bit of breathing room, where there's that interim period between Joel's death and we learn Abby's backstory. There's that bit where we are coming hot off of Joel dying, and for an episode or so, we are rooting for Ellie and we're seeing her slice people up and just like, yeah, get the vengeance, get them back. So then the people watching it for the first time have at least a inkling of the experience that playing the game does, where we are playing the game for the first time, wanting to just eviscerate Abby and her friends for what they did. And then we start to be like, oh no, wait a minute, I need to cool off. That isn't really possible in my head with how they've structured this show now. They've sort of just laid everything out on the table and are leaving it up to the viewer to decide which side of the argument they fall on. Do you understand Abby's motives but still want Ellie to take revenge because that's her right? Or do you side more with Abby and just want Ellie to stop because she should understand that her dad was Joel, you know, the equivalent of Joel to Ellie? That's an interesting place to take, but I don't know if that connects all that well and is actually emblematic of the second game in the way that I was kind of hoping it would be.
Mm.
Because the thing to me, and I'll leave it here because I'm rambling again. as I do. The inherent problem with me, for me, and this isn't like a massive problem, but as like a creative person, this bigger deviance from how the story is told in the second game to how the story is being told and the reveals are being structured here. I know that this realistically probably isn't the case, but there is just an inescapable part of my brain that just views this as giving in to the criticism around part 2.
Yeah.
Where the main detractors of part 2 say the structure is just bad. Like, why did you keep all of this, all the flashbacks, all of the informational stuff towards the latter half of the game to try and force us to feel different emotions? Now, to me, that's what makes Last of Us Part 2 so excellent. But that was one of the heavy criticisms. And there's just a part of my brain that makes me think that either it's Druckmann or Craig or executives at HBO or a mix of that look at the discourse, the very, very public discourse around part 2, and are like, we don't want that to happen again. So we have to shift in different ways. And we have to be a bit more forthcoming with the information that we actually withheld intentionally so in part 2 in the game. We have to be more forthcoming with it. And as someone who loved the second game and the way it told its story and when it told its story, I don't like that. And that could be a complete misread of the situation, but there's just a part of my brain that can't escape that might actually be what's happening. So, yeah, then that's, again, I want to be clear. The show is really well made. I am enjoying watching it, but I just don't know that I really like the creative decision they've taken at all. So, it's not like I'm going to stop watching it. Obviously, I'm going to keep watching it week to week, but I just feel far more conflicted on it than I thought I would, because them deviating and sort of wavering on their creative decisions is like worst case scenario for me. Considering the discourse of around part 2.
I think that they're just doing something different. I for real, I'm not trying to like I, I really don't think it's like, oh, we're going to, like we're trying to avoid the discourse or, whatever it is. I for real think they're trying to do something different because they're doing something wildly different with the town.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they are just doing something very different.
Well, I mean, and the fact that like seemingly in the moment minor things that actually have a tangible impact, like deepening the relationship in these first 2 episodes between Joel and Dina, and having Dina be the one that's there when Joel is killed instead of Tommy. Those are differences as well. Ones that I don't necessarily have a problem with, because Tommy rushing off to go and kill them all, without telling anyone, that still logically makes sense whether he's there for Joel's death or not. But so again, I'm open-minded. I'm hoping they land the plane. I'm hoping, like the game did, I'm hoping the show wins me over. But as things stand, I think that the game and how it told its story is demonstrably better than the show. And I'm just concerned for how they attempt to land the plane when the structure has deviated so much already. But we'll see.
We shall see. And I'm looking forward to it. I really hope they do another episode like they did with 3. Obviously, it can't be the same story, but
well, we know from trailers that and casting announcements. I guess this isn't really a spoiler if you haven't been paying attention to those things. But Eugene is going to be a character in the show.
They are doing that? Okay, cool.
Like he's cast, he's a notable actor if you know who he is. So they probably are going to be doing, or it's clearly going to have to be a flashback episode with Eugene. And they've been talking about Eugene and what happened to Eugene in these first 2 episodes. So seeing that, but then, with the discussion that Joel had with the therapist about what he did to Eugene, it's like, is that just going to be trying to paint Joel as more and more of the bad guy? I don't know how I feel about that either. So we'll see. Like there is, I don't know. I honestly don't know that they're going to be able to top or even match the Bill and Frank scene episode.
Yeah.
But I would, like you say, love something of that ilk that has that kind of emotional impact, whether it's heartfelt or otherwise. So,
Wouldn't that be so cool?
yeah.
It's okay. We'll see where it goes. That bloater
Mhm.
was nasty, though.
Yeah, it was. Now we just need Shamblers and a Rat King.
Sure.
Did you get to the Rat King?
I don't know what you're talking about even slightly. I can't even tell if you're making a joke or not, to be honest.
No, I'm being very serious. Well, I mean, if you don't know exactly what I'm referencing when I say Rat King, you probably didn't get to the Rat King.
Yeah,
Let's
probably
just
not.
say it's another variant of infected that is far more formidable than a shambler or a bloater. I'll put it that way.
Okay. All right, you guys, we shall let you go, but thank you so much for hanging out with us and for literally had to Google a shambler because I haven't seen one. And listening
You've
to
seen a
our
shambler. They're the guys that fire out the little spore clouds around themselves that charge you.
I didn't remember. Well, no, because I only knew the bloater.
Yeah. I mean, the shamblers are relatively early in part 2, so you will have
Yeah.
seen them. You just forgotten.
I probably saw them and just thought they were bloaters. Anyways, you can find us on YouTube at Save the Game Media, and Discord is always in the description if you want to come hang out with us. Sam, where can people find you?
Anywhere and everywhere. That's Heaney, Heaney.
You can find me at Fabulous Breanna, FabulastBreanna. You can find Taylor with the Pope. Bye.
Yep.